most favorite fictitious children. We first have Andy. It's not an economic thing. It's simply a perspective of a child and an illustration of a child who has predictability, a child that has a home base always. This is the child that was brought home from the hospital and the same home, and by eighth grade, they're still living there. They haven't had multiple moves, or maybe this is just their second home. They've had a two-parent family. They've had less stress. They've had financial stability. They've had emotional expression. They've had support, even when things that went wrong, not wrong, but just, when life happens, let's say grandma dies or there's been a tragedy in the family of some sort. It doesn't mean that Andy's immune from it. What happens, though, is that Andy has support around it. And that's the child that is able to be in that part of the pyramid that is all about learning and to be in that regulated spectrum. This is the child that goes to class and automatically has focus. They're responsive. They're engaged. They ask questions. They're helpful. They're not destroying your classroom. You actually enjoy teaching this child. Now, who do we have? And this class is about Billy. So Billy is the child. Foundation is leaning. There is a part of this child's foundation that is cracked, that it has been just absolutely obliterated. And so this child needs more support. Again, it's not a socioeconomic piece. I have worked with some of the wealthiest families, and they are as poor can be. They're poverty stricken in the sense of emotional connection. So I just want us to see the foundation of the child and those early life experiences, or even the continual experiences that they're going through, that makes this child different. And so the ultimate question that we have to ask is this: why are Andy and Billy, two children who appear to be so similar on the surface, so drastically different at every level? Well, if you look at Billy, the answer is this: trauma. Single word, trauma. What trauma creates then in that body system and in that child's perspective is fear, stress, and overwhelm. These three words I want you to mark and circle and say, okay, every day when I'm interacting with my classroom or my child or my children, I want to look for the fear, I want to look for the stress, and I want to look for the overwhelm. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see the fear, but I bet if you really work at this and you are mindful of it, you are going to be able to find the overwhelm. Our kids have a high sensitivity to stress. They get very stressed out very easily, and so they get overwhelmed very easily. Now, take that for your own experience. I'd like to use our own experiences so that we can start relating to our children. When we are overwhelmed, maybe you've started a new job, maybe you have had deadlines at work, maybe you've got, I saw one mom with 8 kids, you're overwhelmed. You have a classroom of 8 Billies, you have a classroom of 30 kids, and then you have 6 different classes, and so you've got 180 students. That is overwhelming. When you are overwhelmed as an adult even, what do your behaviors look like? Wow. You miss stuff, you forget stuff, you probably aren't as patient. Maybe you say things a little sharp, maybe you're not outright mean, but you're a little short on the patience level. And so when we are overwhelmed, our behaviors are going to be a little bit different. I want you to see that you're not a bad person. None of us are bad people. We get into a state of overwhelm, we get stressed out, and our behaviors reflect that. Now, hopefully as adults, that only happens periodically. With Billy, it happens chronically, all the time. Very few times probably does he feel well enough to be able to act polite, to be able to have a calmer voice, So we just have to see that Billy is in a chronic state of overwhelm. And what I really want us to start seeing, and this is where my perspective of love comes in, is that unfortunately the judgment has been there. There isn't very loving. And we've identified Andy as the good child. Now, we may not have said that out loud, but the conversations in our head, we have to be truthful here. We've looked at Andy as the good child. He's easy. Listen, this is the kid that's easy to parent. This is the child that is easy to be in the classroom. You would love to have a whole classroom of Andys. Be honest, right? But we've also unfortunately then labeled Billy as sort of the bad child because he's argumentative, he's impulsive, he's defiant, he wears you down, he gets you stressed out, he gets you to a place of overwhelm. And I know teachers, for any teachers that are here, you know that when you look at your roster at the beginning of the year, you're like, oh my gosh, I've got Billy in my class this year. Like Billy has a reputation on campus, and all of a sudden you realize he's in your class, and you automatically go, what? Oh, I got Billy this year. It's okay because Billy is going to challenge us. It's all right. So I want you ultimately to be able to celebrate having Billy. Now that's a long stretch. We're going to get there. And yeah, Billy does internalize it. Billy knows that he stands out. Billy knows he doesn't fit in. He knows that he is, perceived as the bad kid because we have disciplined Billy, and I probably should just say punished Billy to the point that he knows he's not okay. So here's Billy. Put him in timeout. Automatically, Billy's perception is, I'm not okay. I'm unworthy. I'm unlovable. So I know that's true because I'm in here in timeout. So we're really going to work with so many of the traditional techniques and get rid of them. We can still have control in our classroom. We absolutely need to. We can still manage the classroom and have rules and have expectations, which is absolutely necessary, but not to do it in a punitive way that is going to help to move Billy in further into his level of self-hatred, because trauma happens in a way that it impacts a child's belief about himself. He feels unlovable, he feels unworthy, he feels forgotten or abandoned, and it all happened when he felt powerless, helpless, and hopeless. So we're dealing with children with these deep triggers. Think about most of the disciplinary measures we've ever used, either again as a parent or as a teacher. Most of the techniques we've used have actually increased this and not decreased it, not built up our kids. So even some of the positive reinforcers, I don't think it works for our children. Because even if you say, well, Billy, if you get your homework assignments turned in all week long, you do your homework packet, by Friday you get to go to the treasure box or you get to go to Fun Friday. We think that's a positive. But see, in Billy's mind, he feels worthless. He doesn't feel like he can do it. He gets home to do his homework packet. He's completely stressed out. And so his mind goes into a fog. He feels powerless again. He feels helpless again. He starts yelling and screaming, breaking pencils, throwing chairs, yelling, screaming, maybe even getting to the point that he's kicking and biting and doing all these things and regressing back to a toddler. And he goes back to school, and by Friday, guess what he doesn't have? He doesn't have his homework done. So then guess what? He doesn't get to go to the prize box. So now Billy feels what? He feels stupid. He feels worthless. He feels ostracized. He feels like he can't do it. And so what we've done is only created more of the same trauma.